Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we are back. It is December. The year is almost over. So I know we've kind of been going around doing different stuff. There's a little DC University here, and a little Peacemaker there, and a talk with the Kid Marrow over here. But we're going to use this month to get back to the MCU talk. And we do have a special guest with us, which we'll get to in a second. But I also want to get to patreon.com/MCUniversityPod. We can get our bonus content such as Batman Forever, which myself, Jake, and our pal Rod, we had a great time discussing that wonderful movie. And it's just, oh man, just a great chance to revisit the greatness of Val Kilmer, Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones, and Jim Carrey. All of the stuff that went on in that movie. Go check it out. You can check that out for $3 and get all of our backlog of bonus content. And of course, if you are on YouTube, if you're watching, please like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to have this conversation.
Yes, and we are having this conversation with a friend, colleague of mine, Charles Murphy, Murphy's Multiverse. Charles, welcome back to the program. It's been a while. How you doing, sir?
It's been some time. I'm doing great, guys. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Yes, yes. And there are so many different directions that I can go with this, but I simply want to ask you first, Charles. If you had to kind of evaluate the MCU in 2025, where we currently stand as we get ready for Spider Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday, how are you feeling about the product at this point?
Man, that's I kind of I think I anticipated us heading this direction, and the first thing that crossed my mind was when I first found out that they were heading in the multiverse direction. So say right before I started Murphy's Multiverse, and I was sure that this is where they were going. I was super concerned about the concept of the multiverse playing with like general audiences. Like I was nervous. Um, it's pretty heavy sci-fi stuff. Sci-fi is not mainstream stuff, right? Like what we pass off as like mainstream sci-fi movies, like Star Wars, Avatar, whatever. That's not real sci-fi that gets down and dirty into what I was, I guess, assuming they would do with the multiverse. Um, so I was a little apprehensive, a little concerned about that direction. Then when it became apparent that Kang was going to be at the center of it, I was even more nervous because as a lifelong comic guy, if like my kids said, "Hey dad, explain this guy," if they asked me to explain Kang, I would have a hell of a time trying to get their heads wrapped around who he was, and because I don't know that I really know, right? So I guess all that kind of all that kind of came to pass to some extent, and obviously there were a whole lot of other hiccups in there, and bumps in the road that they could never have anticipated. But it was, man, it was on that end of it, it was like scary, and the worst part of that came to be, and then you've had so much of the I don't want to name the Marvel employee, but at one point I had an interview with a Marvel employee years ago, and off the record, the comment was something along the lines of, "Well, that's the next guy's problem," and that
Mm,
terrified me. That absolutely terrified me. That there was like, "Hey, we did this, but we didn't ever come up with like a next step with it. It's just handed off to the next guy." And you see so much of that in where they are now, right? Like, what are they going to do with Moon Knight? Oh, they don't know. What are they going to do with She-Hulk? They don't know. What are
yeah.
they going to do with whatever the chick's name is from Secret Invasion? They don't know, right? And all these post credit scenes, and so like, it is really, it is incredible. Like, so to I guess come all the way back around to an actual answer, it's incredible that they've been able to save face at all, because it was just an absolute. It was set up to be bad. They made bad choices along the way, and now you're heading into 2026 where you are all but guaranteed to incredibly, like, obviously they're going to hit at the box office, but everything you hear about Spider-Man, everything you hear about Doomsday seems pretty exciting. And I know like every now and then I'll talk to Charles. He'll go, "Oh, it's just going to be fan service and Doomsday," and I'm like, "So, like, I have no problem with that. Like, let's go, let's see it, because this is the last time we're going to get to see it, and I think it is going to be a lot of that, but I don't think that's all it's going to be. And somehow, in spite of themselves, I think they're kind of set up to have a really great year.
You bring up something that's so interesting that you brought up is how the multiverse is was such a when they first were going in the direction, it was like it's crazy how our audience is going to get it. And I actually think you could argue pretty successfully that by the time they're finally getting around to the meat of that story, multiverses are old news in pop culture. I think that I think it's if you were to go back to when did you start multiverse for what year?
2019.
So in 2019, if I were to tell you that 3.5 years before they do the big multiverse movie, a multiverse movie will win Best Picture, you'd be like, you're bullshitting me. I think it's just I think that in some ways it both was a crazy concept, and I think a thing I've said a long time is I think that they slow played it in a way that you're talking about the next guy's problem, that they knew they were going in the direction of the multiverse, but it almost felt like they were taking very tiny steps towards it, because they're well, this isn't going to be when we finally step in, and it's it's 6 years. I mean, they first alluded to the multiverse in Far From Home. Obviously, it's not actually the multiverse; that's a twist. But they first allude to it in 2019. We're not going to get like I said, the Secret Wars, the finale of the multiverse stories. I mean, 2027. Ironically, I think that the thing that's going to be bite him in the ass is that audiences are tired of this.
Wow. Yeah, and that's a great point, because it's been and again, for reasons beyond their control. Obviously, the whole phase kicks off with COVID, right? And they just get grounded for a whole year, and then you get the back-to-back strikes, the SAG and the writer strike. So and then that's funny, because it sidetracked them, but it also in a lot of ways helped them get a nice reset and make Thunderbolts into a very good film, to make Captain America into at least an enjoyable second half of a film. I'm not thrilled about the direction of Daredevil, because I'm not the big Netflix guy, but at least it gave him the opportunity to get a cohesive narrative told there, right? But yeah, that it's been a painstakingly long process to get to the end of this thing, which is nuts, because obviously it has not been the decade plus that the Infinity Saga took, but it seems like it's been longer.
I would agree with that. I think there's a lot. It feels like so many different characters, and we've been doing this Road to Doomsday miniseries where we've been kind of chronicling every portion of what's been going on, and it's so shocking in a way when you go and actually look back and see how many things have just been so aimless. And it's been aimless in a way that's just I mean, for instance, the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness post credit with Clea, that type of thing. That thing you know nothing about. The Eternals thing with the Blade movie. There's 50 million things going on that have no kind of there's no legs to attach it to. So it's just things that are just going out there. And I think one of the ones that we've talked about the most has been the Shang-Chi mid-credit scene, which at the time you're oh, okay, they're really they're putting Shang-Chi right in the middle of everything, and we haven't seen him since.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 2026, so it's kind of crazy to think about in retrospect.
I think the thing that's crazy too, though, is that they're betting that if Spider-Man and Doomsday work, and if they kind of have a reset and they go into a new phase with people satisfied, that people will completely forgive and forget the post-credit scenes that went nowhere. And the thing is, they're absolutely correct about that. That's the thing about it, is that I think that one of the problems with discourse about the MCU is that it's because, and this is a problem with the discourse about so many things that are mass entertainment products, is that the people who lead the discourse about it are people who are in the 99th percentile of consuming it, right? The average person who's going to pay money to see Doomsday will probably if you remind them that Charlize Theron is in a post-credit scene in Doctor Strange, you'll be oh yeah, I remember that, but they're not actively mad about it. And I think that the thing that I think, because they have no direction, though, it's allowed us to spin our wheels. Whereas, there's a lot of threads that were thrown out back in the day that they never picked up on, that we kind of just moved on from. And I think that when there's a void of purpose, that gives people so much fruit. And I think also the big mistake I think they made with a lot of these post-credit scenes is I think the moment you introduce new cast members, then that I think becomes like a much more real thing. Like the fact that they have Mahershala Ali, the fact they have Harry Styles, Charlie Stem, like these people on screen and ostensibly in the MCU, I think that made it easier for people to glom onto it. Whereas like if they're just like if they're like a scene, with Dane Whitman in the Eternals post-credit scene where he had the sword and it was like something on it said that it would belong to Blade or something,
Right.
and they never cast anyone. I think that it's a very different conversation about how invested we are in that than the fact that they got two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali in a studio to say, what is it like? I wouldn't touch that, Mr. Whitman, or whatever. Like that. I think that like the reality of that and the fact that the way the movie journalism is, the fact that there is a human being to ask on red carpets about Blade keeps it on people's mind more than it would be if they just alluded to it.
Well, and not even. Do you remember when the movie came out? Like so many people, like you made a great point. Like super salient that 99% tile are the people that do this, but there were so many people who thought that was Sam Jackson in the post credit scene instead of Mahershala, which is insane. Like, what is Nick Fury doing here? But so much of like, and AC knows, I'm sure, how much I've dialed down like my interaction online because I've just become so. I honestly, like, the only word I have for it is disgust. Like I'm so disgusted at the lack of nuance in any sort of conversation online.
Yeah.
It is just like it is because everything is so polarized. Like all of the ideas of, even though Twitter's not an American thing, the politics of the time have like polarized every single conversation we have. And it's insane to me. Like there's just absolutely no nuance in any discussion about the MCU or the DCU or anything. It's like you're either Snyderverse or Gunn, or the MCU sucks, or we're back, baby. Like that's it. And that's such a stupid starting point for any conversation. Like it's just, I refuse to even try to have that conversation. Like how do you change somebody's mind when they're just like, oh, we're cooked like that? I mean, it's just such an ignorant place.
Well, it's such a great point that you make, because I mean the first takeification of the MCU it's been one of the more frustrating and also fascinating things to watch. I mean, I think about, just generally speaking, like, name the movie, I'll say Guardians Volume 3. And people, generally speaking, I feel like most people like that movie. And then they do the thing where you go a year later or 6 months later, and then all of a sudden you see, what did you really think about this movie? Well, I don't think it was that good, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like the revisionist history that goes on with every single movie is so insane that you just can't help but laugh at it.
I think the thing that's so frustrating about it, and this is the thing I notice in just broad movie discussions, even beyond the MCU, is like, in some ways it reflects politics, but I think it's really like the sportsification of movies,
Yes.
which like movies are not sports. Like box office returns are not scores. Like and the quality of a movie. Like I guess the thing that is so I have never, and AC knows this, like I basically follow no one who talks about the MCU a lot except for people who are my friends. Like I don't engage, like I see news and stuff through AC or through like other retweets. Like I actually like straight up don't care what the average person who has like a comic book avatar has to say about anything. And so like when I get the bits of it though, the thing that's so perplexing to me is it's like, for me, I go see everything. I'm single, I have no kids, and I have Regal Unlimited. I see almost everything that's like a big movie in theaters if I can. And every time I step into that theater, I am rooting for the movie to be good because I'm going to spend 2 hours with it. And if you can get to the place where like you're rooting for a movie not to be good or for a movie not to do well, it's like, if you like kind of because guess what, like, if you care about the DCU, you should want the MCU to do well because theaters need to stay alive and vice versa. Like the way that people have anything other than like, I want every movie that comes out to be good because I like good movies and I like movies to be successful. Like that seems like such a rudimentary thought. And once you get to a place where people aren't treating it like that, then I think, and I think that it goes for people who are like very we're so backed by the MCU, who are really positive about it. I think that even then, it's just not healthy. Like because it also removes the fact that like we talk about the context of the MCU it's like I think people just forget that movies are not something that's being made by one person with full creative control. Like they are a group project. They're a thing that exists in the context of the world.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like to remove that and to talk about these things as if they are, you know, perfectly designed objects by one person's vision or whatever. It's like I think that just discounts it. And I think that like to be able to have the nuance of to say like, you know, I didn't like this part of this movie, but overall I think it's a good movie. Like the fact that
Yeah.
that's not in anyone's lexicon is really like it's just bad. And the thing that's frankly annoying is that people who should know better, people who even are friends of mine, who will like have like this movie was cooked, this movie was garbage. I'm like, I know you don't believe that. Like I know
Right.
that you don't. And I just think that that type of language is like, nah, man. Like you spent 2 hours with that movie, you have a more nuanced opinion than it was trash.
Well, like Monday night I watched Avatar: Ash and Fire. So I pretty large group for me of like press people for a movie that I've gone to see. Like usually if we go see, like my dad and I went to see Thunderbolts for in our press screening. Sometimes they give you a +1, sometimes they don't. So I took my dad, I like 3 other people in the theater. Right. This was like 20 people before the movie even started. There's a group of dudes about 3 rows behind me already laying in. This will be a pretty long movie. And I'm like, I can already write your fucking review for you, man. I know exactly where this is going. Like,
Jesus.
yes, it's going to be a long movie. So if that's in your head walking into it, you can guarantee it's already influenced your opinion on the way
Yeah.
out, right? And the reality of that movie is this. Like, I sat down with a big old bucket of popcorn and a 24-ounce beer. The movie started at 7. It was 8:30 when I looked at my phone because there was just this little tiny downtime, and I was like, "Huh, this is getting like." In my head, I'm like, "How long am I going to sit in this?" And then I got through the downtime, looked at my phone. It was like 8:34, and the next thing I knew, I was out of the theater at 10:15. Like, it is not a 3 hour and 15-minute slog. It is not painful. It's not torture. Like it's honestly like from when I check my phone the second time to where it ends, it's chaotic and frenetic as hell. And you will not know that you're in there for another hour and 40 minutes
I'm so
past that.
pumped. I'm so pumped.
But like you get that idea that like in your head, and there's so many people who whether it's Star Wars or DC or Marvel, like you already know you know those some of those Rotten Tomatoes critics. Again, you could write their reviews for them. You know what they're going to say, and it's in vogue to bash superhero movies. So people do it because that's how you get clout. That's how you get Twitter followers. That's how you get attention, and like and that's where we are. And it's a different, certainly a different world than like the one that I started into. I started doing this in like 2013, and everyone was so excited because it was fresh, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just so easy to throw so much to heap it on, and like, oh, they made Thor: Love and Thunder. Yes, but you know what? Like, have you seen Thunderbolts? And like you were saying, like that the revisionist history aspect of it. It's even worse than that. Like all these people
Yeah.
make up their mind like before the Marvels ever comes out in theaters that it's going to be trash.
Yo,
And then it
that's
hits
the
Disney
one.
Plus, and they're like, "Oh my god, the Marvels was fantastic." Yes, it's fucking good.
We
Like
were
this happens over and
on.
over again.
We were
That's
on.
the one.
I think you can go back to that pod, and I'm positive. I think we actually probably said there are going to be people in 3 months who watch this on Disney Plus and be like, "Why didn't I watch this?" And
100%.
we were already mad at them. And the thing is, like, too, with like Thunderbolts, like the thing that's so. I mean, when people switch up on Thunderbolts, I might catch a case. I'm just going to say that out. If it happens, it happens. Because the more I like AC knows this, like.
Yeah.
I was positive on Thunderbolts when it came out, and I'm just every day goes by. I'm like, I really fucking like that movie a lot. And I think the thing that's so annoying about that is it's like you write with the preconceived notions where I think like it became in vogue in that movie for that movie to be like they're making a movie with these characters. It's like that. It's so interesting the switch up of that 11 years after Guardians of the Galaxy where they made a movie with characters no one cared about, and it was cool that they did that. It was like, oh my god, it's so cool that they're taking characters no one cares about, and it's like I think it just. Obviously, people are going to have preconceived notions. Like, it's impossible to not. And I think if you think that your preconceived notions are wisdom, then that leads you to think that, oh, well, it's obviously right. Whereas, like, now, like I said, when you see people watching Thunderbolts on Disney Plus, they're like, oh my god, this is a really fun movie. Yes, it is. Correct. That's correct.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing to think about. I feel like, yeah, the Marvels was the point where I just kind of like, I said, all right, that's enough of this. And enough of this in the sense that not even me necessarily engaging in it, but just me saying, okay, people, this is what they're just going to do now, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. But what I realize is, like, when you're able to have these nuanced conversations that other people can't have, you don't feel it as much, and in a way, you kind of look at it as, man, it is incredible, like what people will do to, like you said, Charles, with the cloud and the followers and stuff like that, like to go so nuts when you don't really believe it. And you could kind of tell that people don't really believe these things that they're saying. And
Yeah.
I just find that part, I find that part just like, generally speaking, it's kind of invaded everything. But as we continue to move forward and stuff like that, like, to kind of get back to what I originally asked you about 2025, I actually think, like, from, I think the MCU actually had a good, like, resetting. It felt like kind of a, we're in phase 1, 2-ish kind of, in
Mm-hmm.
a way, where not anything necessarily was the greatest thing in mankind, but I thought we, solid movies. But you did mention the Captain America movie, and I did want to ask you this, because this is knowledge that kind of floats around the internet and stuff like that. I always make the joke on the show that it feels like they did so much surgery on that movie that it could never be actually what it potentially could have been. Was it that ridiculous, the lengths that they went to change everything that happened in the past year and change?
Yeah, I mean, even like the yes, but the biggest chunk of that was like the entire. I don't even have a great word for it, but like the
The Serpent Society
removal
thing?
of what they were going to do with the Serpent
Mm,
Society, and
mhm.
then putting Giancarlo in as just. I mean, obviously they had whatever the big dude that Sam beats his ass in the beginning. I don't even know who that's supposed to be, right? And how are you supposed to know?
Yeah.
just just a big dude who gets his ass beat, and then they have Giancarlo in there, um, in just a. And I mean, I love that. I love the actor, but
it,
that's not
it,
where
it felt so
his
odd. It
strengths
felt so
lie,
odd.
right? Like that's just
Yeah.
such a weird place. But yeah, so
If you're
like,
casting Giancarlo as a villain in 2025, like that is just like that was novel in 2017. It felt
mhm.
really stale.
Yeah, it was a choice. Um, what's his name that played Ezekiel Stame in
Alden Ehrenreich.
Oh,
Ironheart? Yeah, he was supposed to be behind the Serpent Society mods. He was supposed to do all that
mm.
stuff. The WWE dude, Seth Rollins was on
Yeah.
set. He was like, they
Yep.
took out
I had my
all
girl
of
Lita
that.
Battle Angel on set.
Yeah, she was on from yeah, Battle Angel. She was there. Um, so all that stuff got cut out, and we have no idea, would it be better, would it be worse, but
Yeah.
that's what this is supposed to be like. Hey, the MCU's interconnected.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the next step for this guy. But then everything got so screwed up, and then Ironheart came out after Captain America. All that, it was weird because Ironheart was in the can for like 3 years before
Yeah.
it came out,
Right.
right? So I don't know why they made that choice. I know the initial designs for the leader did not look like a head full of testicles. Like it was much more Avengers EMH with like the headband, right? Like the mind control headband, kind of the gold headband
Oh
piece.
boy.
Um, and that was very different. And then they throw in um, so whatever version of D-Man that they decided to throw in there and kill. I was like, when I found out that was a change they made, I was like, oh my god, they're putting D-Man in, and then they just kill him for no reason. Like
Yes,
it's like,
that was so weird.
and
Oh.
oh my gosh, I can't even think the actress's name. She was
Are we talking about Ruth?
Shira Haas.
no, so
Oh,
that was
Okay.
way different too because she was all
yeah.
Black Widowed out. She just ended up having such a small role as like Harrison Ford's. She was in his security detail.
Yeah.
What was the actress's name?
Oh, okay, okay.
I feel bad about that. Yeah.
She played Layla Taylor,
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. I just
and you
can't.
can tell right when they do it. Sam's like, "Well, I know a person," and then they just like go to her. Right there, you can tell how much they cut
Zosha
out.
Ruckmore.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. She was supposed to have a way larger role. And so yeah, it was really, and that's actually like a pretty good microcosm of the multiverse saga because despite all the nonsense that went on there, yeah, there's some rough parts there, but that movie, like, again, people shit on it. People say whatever they want to say. My son and I have watched that movie, or at least parts of that movie, probably 20, 25 times. It is enjoyable enough. If you got that movie, like AC said, in phase one or phase two, you'd have
Yeah.
been over the moon for what went on in that movie. So it isn't a perfect movie. It isn't great. Somehow they salvaged something pretty okay out of it, right? And I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is it definitely not one of my top 10 films, but I also think like that's a fun movie to watch, right? Yeah, there's some dumb stuff that goes down.
Mhm.
Um, some of the plot stuff doesn't
Looking
make
at the
sense.
leader.
Yeah. I
Super
mean,
bummed,
yeah.
like super
The
bummed didn't get to see Isaiah Bradley like go
Mhm.
nuts, which he was originally supposed
Oh,
to do. He was
yeah.
supposed to be in a suit and go off, like, but it worked out fine.
The thing about that movie is that, like, I actually don't think that the choices that they landed on are the problem with the movie so much, as it is that the fact that there were like the third choices make it misshapen. And like, I think, for example, the leader, like, obviously he looks really stupid, but the biggest problem with the leader for me is that because they have to reshoot all of his stuff, he has no chemistry with any of the other actors. It feels
Yeah,
just
he's all by
stilted.
himself.
Like, the actual, like, if the script that ended up being what the movie was their original idea, like, for give and take some stuff, I think it would be a significantly better movie because, like, it would be in continuity. Everything would be in continuity with each other. And so, like,
Mhm.
that's the thing that's so frustrating about that movie is it's like, I don't even mind that they decided to go with Seth
Right.
Volker instead of the Serpent Society or this, that, like, what, like, fine that those are all, I think, defensible choices to make. But, like, it is, I think, emblematic of the way that the workflow can be a problem. And I think, well, I think they've even realized it themselves that, like, you can't be making two movies and one, because even if the second movie you do is better than the first one, it's never going to be it. There's a reason why you don't do it like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's exactly what happened. It is the exact on a larger scale thing that happened with Jonathan Majors. Hey, we're going in this direction. Oh shit, we're not anymore. And now what? Right?
Mhm.
When and this is I'm not going to belabor this, but like
Hmm.
in my opinion, everyone who said, well, they should have just gone with Doom from the get go. Yes, if you're gonna do this, like, and
Mhm.
you're gonna end in Secret Wars, then yeah, you should have just
Mhm.
gone with Doom as the big guy in the get go. Doesn't mean there wasn't room for Kang along the way, but
Mhm.
like,
Right.
man, to have to like get, I don't know, not quite a halfway through your saga and then pivot to a whole different big bad. That's rough, man. That's like you said. That's trying to make a whole second movie when you already had a first movie in mind.
What it felt like to me when that happened was at the time, and I think we all kind of had that same opinion as it was going on. We were kind of awestruck at what Majors was doing on the screen. So,
Mhm.
like, I think they probably were too. So they just decided. I felt, at least what it felt like to me, they decided, all right, we're gonna just make him the headline of this. We're gonna make him the front line, put him on the front lines of this, and he's entirely what we build around here. And then sometimes when you put all your eggs in one basket and it doesn't
Yeah.
work out, it feels like it definitely felt like a panic move. But I should ask because I've never actually asked you this question. Um, the RDJ's Doom thing. How do you feel about that?
I I will not be able to like know how I feel until I can
Mm,
answer one question. I was like, if he is legitimately Victor, I'm fine with it
okay.
because I think like you watched Oppenheimer and you obviously we
Yeah.
know it's RDJ, but like you don't recognize that as the same guy who's Tony Stark.
Mhm.
He is a talented actor. He can disappear, especially behind that mask, and become a different person. But if they make him a variant of Tony Stark, I'm out. Like I've said that before. Like that is not the story that I'm going to enjoy. And
Mhm.
that I mean like, and that's where to me like, might I still enjoy bits and pieces of that movie? Like Jake was saying, like, is it a terrible movie just because of that? Probably not. Like I'm
Yeah.
probably going to really enjoy watching the Avengers and X-Men fight each other. I'm probably really going to enjoy for the first time watching Reed Richards interact with Captain America. That's probably going to make me happy. But like
Yeah.
the premise, because so for me as like a almost 50-year-old dude who's read comics his whole life, Victor Von Doom is a top 2 Marvel character for me. He matters to me. I want him
Mhm.
to be who he should be. I don't want him to be a half-assed Tony Stark variant who had a bad thing happen to him. Like that's just not who that character is because then that betrays not just who he has ever been, but also the
Right.
opportunities you have in the future with the character when he should, going into it. Yeah, you're introducing him here at the end of the saga, but going into the new saga, you should be able to mine that character for all kinds of stories, right? And you
Yeah.
just can't if it's just an angry Tony Stark.
I think that's a great point. But go ahead, Jake.
I was gonna say, and I think that the reason why I think you need to do it the way it like is in the comics initially, because like I'm someone who's not very precious about that stuff, but this Doctor Doom is a character that has not been done well in live action yet. Like it's the reason why it's fine, in my opinion, that they don't show Uncle Ben dying and they kind of make Aunt May the Uncle Ben figure for this Spider-Man. It's because this is the third time we've seen it, and we've seen it done. They've seen the Uncle Ben death done successfully twice, right? The audiences are like,
Mm-hmm.
but the Doctor Dooms we've had were fucking the second guy on Nip Tuck and Toby Kebbell like half-assing it for 3 seconds on screen. Like
But rip to that guy though. I don't.
rest in peace to Julian
McMahon.
McMahon. Rest in peace, Julian McMahon. My brain farted. I forgot that he passed away. But he was also the second guy on Nip Tuck, and I think even he, in hindsight, would
100%.
say that if you're going to make a big Fantastic Four movie, you need someone who has a little more gravitas than him. And so, like, I think that that's the thing too that I was talking to AC about. Like, and this was the thing I remember I talked about going into Fantastic Four First Steps is like,
Yeah.
if you're like me, someone who didn't grow up with the comics and know these characters through, cinematic portrayals. Remember I was saying before First Steps, they need to really nail this because comic book fans are like, it's self-evident why the Fantastic Four are important. And I'm like, if you're someone who grew up in the 21st century and you saw two like not that great movies that like both kind of someone like for me, I only know that Fantastic Four are important because people who read comics tell me. If I just went by the movies, they'd be like, they're like a second tier character, right? So like I think that you can take for granted that Doctor Doom is important. And I think that, like, I really hope that they're not doing that because, like, they actually do just need to do it right. Because, like, yes, he's a name that people know, but people know the name the Fantastic Four, and they didn't show up for, for certain movies. So it's like, you got to get it right because if you don't actually just, like, deliver it on screen, then it will just become forever, like, people complaining, like, in the comics, he did this. Like, no, you got to get it right on screen once.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with
How
that.
did you guys feel about Fantastic Four?
I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah.
I thought that there was some tonal stuff I had issues with, and I felt like my big thing with it is that like I wish that whatever they cut with like the first 20 minutes of it, I thought the movie needed. I thought the movie needed them just being regular superheroes for like 20 minutes in order to balance out the fact that the movie is about them being in crisis. Like I needed to see them at like their base existence. But other than that, that's my main criticism of it. But I enjoyed all of it. I thought the performances I really liked. And yeah, I'm excited to see them going forward. I thought that they really it made me really excited to see them in future MCU movies, which I think was the main goal that the movie had to accomplish in the broader MCU.
I was very intrigued myself to see how Pedro did read because a lot of people felt a way about that casting. And I thought that his performance was so interesting because there was just some stuff. His fatherhood stuff was very, like, that really kind of hit home to me. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I wish they gave Ben Grimm a little bit more to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love Sue Storm. I think Vanessa Kirby, I felt like she knocked it out of the park. And I thought Joseph Quinn, I thought he was pretty damn good. That's just like, I feel like from a character standpoint, those characters knocked it out to me where I'm like, all right, we could go forward with these people and feel confident that they could deliver.
Yeah, Pedro was great to me because there was like a little bit of like the inaccessibility that a normal person would have to someone like Reed, right? Like he was clearly like that. I think that's the point of the conversation that he and Sue have when he just rattles off of his head, like when the solution is like give up Franklin, he's like, well, it's available, and she's like, what? But that's him. Like that is who Reed should be. Like he can't be everybody else because he is so much different. He's wired so much differently. I think it's like excellently casted. I agree with Jake. Like that 20 minutes, that movie flew by. Like I remember my daughter and I were in Indiana for a sports tournament, and we watched it. And we actually watched two movies that weekend. We saw the new I don't know what you, or I know what you did last summer. I don't know what you did last summer. That was like our joke. That was my joke with her. I was like, man, that movie was boring as hell. And then we watched the Fantastic Four, and that one flew by. And I told her like, hey, this was supposed to be in the beginning. And I think and this is again coming, and this is where we get into that, like, hey, what's the nuanced conversation here. From the comic book guy, it took Kirby and Lee like almost 50 issues, 48 issues, right, to get to Galactus. And it wasn't just like, hey, this is Galactus. That was the first time that like Marvel Comics expanded from the Earth into like a large scale universe. It was so ballsy in the 60s for them to do that, to be like, hey, we have these really like, yeah, they're superheroes, but like, yeah, they're pretty ordinary. Like, yeah, Mole Man, whatever. But hey, look at Diablo, look at this guy. It took them like almost 50 issues to expand into what became my favorite corner of the Marvel universe, which is the cosmic stuff, right? Yeah, so when you just skip over that and be like, hey, Reed kicked a orangutan, like, okay, that's cool.
It's also insane that you cut out John Malkovich. Like, I'm not even like that. I think is like
the worst.
Like, I think for me, the thing that pissed me off about that decision more than anything is that like when Marvel's been at its most humming, it like it really felt like when Marvel was at the top, it was like they were not making any scared decisions. And in my opinion, the movie was what, an hour 59 what came out. It's like, if you're afraid to make the Fantastic Four movie 2 hours and 17 minutes, that I'm like, ball up, like stop it. Like you're Marvel, like you can make the Fantastic Four movie 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like that, like that's such a scared money decision, and like that I just don't respect that. It's like, no, man. Yeah, maybe Thunderbolts you want to keep short or whatever if you want, because you don't think it's that, but like it's Fantastic Four. People aren't going to bristle at it being 2 hours 15.
No,
I know Charles loves runtime talk.
Oh my god! Yeah,
it's the worst.
Idea that before you go in, it's already bad because it's too short or too long. No, the Malkovich thing killed me because I mean, I'm like, again, almost 50. My memory is super imperfect. I knew. I think I'm the only person who writes on the site anymore. I think I broke the story about Malkovich being cast as Red Ghost. I was super psyched because my college me remembers his shitty Russian accent and Rounders. He's just terrible. And I'm like, this is why they cast him.
Hanging around. He's got alligator blood.
Yeah, they want that Russian accent. And then I was so excited because I don't even like, I've long since abandoned like the scoop leak thing. Like that's just, I don't care anymore. Like I like to do what I do on the site. I don't have a lot of time. So it's just like, if I'm going to type something up for the site, it's just something I'm interested in and I want to do. And I'm in the position where I can do that. So like for me to ever break any scoop and at this point in time is like very rare. And then I'm like, oh great, here we go. Now it's going to be death threats in the fucking inbox again because Malkovich isn't in the film. But at least they did come out. At least Watts, or not Watts, but Shackman came out and said, yeah, we cut him.
I mean, I felt bad for Shackman because like I was looking into it and like Malkovich did his like small movie back in the day, and that's they knew each other. Like he was kind of a favorite. It's like, come on, wait, it's John Malkovich. Like, what are you doing?
Hit the guy. He has a whole movie named after him.
He does, exactly. But no, I felt like I think the thing about Reed, to go back to that, which I really liked about it, is that I really liked how he was obviously the smartest guy in the world. The thing I always used to say when people would fan cast John Krasinski is that I would say, if you were to look me in the eye and tell me that John Krasinski is the smartest man in the world, I will spit on your shoes and call you a liar. Because like he just never can't read that way. And I was worried
about the smartest ass guy in the world.
Yes. I was worried, like, Pedro, I think he's a talented enough actor to pull it off. I want to see it. And the thing that I think Pedro did so well in that performance is not that necessarily that he was the smartest guy in the world. Oh, he did do that. But I really liked that he didn't play it like a, magical autistic character that I think you could do with Reed Richards. He played it in a way that he was the smartest man in the world, and it made him miserable. He hated the fact that his intelligence made it hard for him to relate to other people, and it wasn't a fun gimmick to him. It's like, no, he's aware that that makes the world harder for him. And I'm like, that makes the character so much more interesting to me than just like the smartest man in the world. He's whizzing up formulas. It's like, no, if you were actually the smartest man in the world and you had people you care about, it would make your life suck in a lot of ways.
No, I wasn't, I don't know how I felt about it. Like if I had a cast member that I questioned, it was Vanessa Kirby, because I'd only ever seen the Fast and the Furious stuff, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's so funny because that's so
on me because I don't get to watch stuff. Right?
It's so funny because that's such an outlier for her.
Right, and I just don't know. Like, and I think like I say this all the time. Like the number of people who say like, "Hey, have you seen this?" I'm like, "No, dude." like I barely keep up with the stuff I'm supposed to watch for the
Yeah.
site with like, so I have a wide spread of kids. Like my oldest just took her last class at college today.
Mm.
Then I have a high school senior. Then I have a 3-year-old who's graduating from shitting in his pants. Right. Like, so that's where I am in this whole thing. So like we are spread so thin that like I'm supposed to be like, I don't even know when the review is supposed to be out, but I know I was supposed to watch the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie and review it, but I haven't even watched it yet. So like I don't always have the best grasp on stuff, but I was like, I don't know, that's Sue Storm from what I saw in Fast and the Furious, but I do know in my head that Sue Storm is the most important character in a good Fantastic Four story. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, well, goddamn, yeah, she's the best character
Yeah.
in this movie. She absolutely nailed it. She was incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If anyone asks you if you'd see something, by the way, just send them my way. The answer probably would be yes. I was there sitting there alone with a popcorn on Tuesday at the Regal, watching some bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. I've watched the amount of times I'll go to a movie and then like I'll in the family group chats and be like, "What did everyone do today?" And I'm like, "I saw this movie. It's like, was it good?" And I'm like, "No," but I went in thinking it wasn't going to be. And then my mom's like, "Why did you go see it?" And it's like, because I have nothing to do. It's a Tuesday anyway.
I mean, if anything, Jake has inspired me over the past year and change to try and get out to more movies. It just like the kid thing
Of
is
course.
like it just becomes a thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
wish if I could, I'd be at the movie theater all the time.
Yeah.
Literally.
I used to be, man, and I'm jealous. Like even when my girls were younger, they would sit and chill and watch a movie. But this is our son is just like, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys know Jack from The
Yeah.
Incredibles. That is our little dude, man. Like he writhes in pain to sit still. Like he is just, it hurts him to have to chill. Like we tried to watch about a year ago. Tried to watch Moana 2. Uh, 20 minutes in, I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. He
Yeah.
did make it through Superman and Fantastic Four, but in very unpopulated theaters where he was able to like get up and do his thing and stuff. Um, and we were supposed to go see. So this is pretty cool. And I said like the +1 thing for Disney with the screenings.
Yeah.
They did invite families to go screen Zootopia 2.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
know that they do that. I've heard they
So
do good about that.
yeah, they were really good about it. They opened up. They're like, hey, normally it's a +1. You can bring up to 4 others with you. So for us, that would have been our whole family. And we were all good and down to go, but we got sick.
Mm.
In the nonsense, and I'm still like, you can hear the cough every now and then. This like 20. I don't even know when that was. 3 weeks ago, and we're still 2 weeks ago. We're still
The
hacking
movie
it up.
already apparently crossed $1 billion.
I mean,
at the
I
box
saw it.
office.
It's honestly, I liked it a lot. I liked it more than the first one. But are you sure that the reason he couldn't sit still during Moana is because he's like, you know what, these songs just aren't the same without Lynn. It's a big drop in quality.
It could have been. It could have been. I know my oldest 2 kids love the first one, and then they saw the trailer for the live action one, and my oldest goes, "Am I supposed to want to go see this?"
Yeah,
And I said, "You know what? I'm not sure how to answer that for you."
that once okay, you want to talk about a franchise that's definitely mismanaged more than the MCU box office side, because obviously Moana 2 made a ton of money, but the fact that Moana was a huge hit, beloved. Then they're like, we're gonna do a live action one, and also we're going to rework 3 episodes of a TV show into a movie. It's like,
Into a movie, yeah.
if the Moana fan base was as rabid as the MCU fan base, they'd be like, this is cut together, this is bullshit, it doesn't make any sense.
But then they might be back. You don't know if they're going to be back with the live action one.
I don't know. And the thing is, I am not looking forward to it. I think it's going to be bad. My ass is going to be there. I'm going to see it.
Yeah,
Jake is always there.
I'm always going to see it.
I'm with you. Like, and people have pointed this out to me before, and I'm fine with it. If I'm going to review something,
Mhm.
I review the stuff that I enjoy about it. I am very light on the things that I don't like about it. Man, I couldn't imagine being in those people's shoes and the pressure, and like, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that someone else isn't going to like it. And so when I write a review, like I've always felt like I'm a poor reviewer of things. I just kind of like, I get to the nitty gritty of like what I enjoyed, what was good, how it connected to me and like my experiences, and I just kind of leave it at that. Like I don't care to hammer other people's work, because I know from a very, very different perspective, I know what it feels like to get attacked and to get hammered on things that meant a lot to you. And I don't think any good comes from it. Like people are going to make up their own mind. So
Yeah.
I mean, like this is a stupid go-to, but like people love Rotten Tomatoes, right? Like look up Happy Gilmore's Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
But do you know how good that movie made me feel when I was the age that I first watched that movie? Do you know how many times I've watched that movie? I don't care what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. I don't care what anybody thinks about that movie. I laughed so hard the first time I watched that movie, the 10th time I watched that movie. Like, and I think like those things are fine, but like there is for sure a tendency to want to like push a negative opinion on stuff, even like going back to the Marvels and all that. So I kind of
Right.
tend to stay away from that and just do um, here's where it hit, here's where it hit me, right? And so like for me, that one of my favorite movies I saw this whole year was Predator Badlands,
Great movie.
which
I
I
still
mean
haven't seen that
I
movie, so.
really liked.
Hmm.
And I
Mm.
when I reviewed it, I was like, hey, this is what I liked about it, because I feel like Dan, if I met Dan Trachtenberg, I feel like we'd have a conversation about, hey, you watched Predator 2
Hmm.
and you saw that ship and it
Hmm.
blew your mind up about what this could be, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I was when I was that age when I watched that movie.
Mm.
And I think the thing is, I think AC would agree with this, like that. I think I might say that we do like a Marvel review show, but like actually we don't. I don't when we do pods about movies. Like
It's not
the
traditional.
big thing about it is like we never do anything.
Used to be,
Well,
but
yeah, but now we specifically never do any pods about a movie or a TV show that are spoiler free because it's like our show is for because obviously your audience is if it's a new movie it might be different, but like we I think know that our bread and butter is as a show for people who are gonna watch it probably no matter what. And so it's like
Yeah.
we're a show that discusses the movie and what works and what doesn't. But like the thing I hate the most is whenever, and I think that that's the most interesting conversation in writing you can have about a movie. The thing I hate the most is when people look to film reviewers as nothing more than a should I see this or should I not? It's like
yeah.
you need to be
Oh
able to
yeah.
do that yourself in your mind. You need to be able to read between the lines of what someone is saying. A film reviewer's job is not to spoon feed to you whether you should see a movie or not.
And I trust people who go to movies a lot and what they say and sometimes what they don't say. Like I'll give you an example. I was really really hyped to go see The Running Man. And I heard from a couple of people who I trust that was like a little on the story. So I said, okay, this is something that I
Yeah.
could catch at home
Yep.
instead.
That's the thing I'll always say. I'll always tell people. I think with my friends, try to do the service of like I have it calibrated in my mind how difficult it is or isn't for someone to get to the movies. Like I do this with AC all the time, and it's
Yes.
like I'm very. I have a very like my rather than like shooter nuts like the form of which you see is like Running Man. You'll enjoy parts of it. You'll enjoy it in two parts over a weekend in a couple of months, and like that. And I think knowing that, but like that's the thing a friend could do. That's the thing. Like the thing I always tell people if they want to read reviews is like find a couple reviewers whose taste you trust, and like the reviewers I follow who like sometimes there's a thing they might say that they don't like about a movie that when they say that I'm like I think I actually will like this movie because they pointed like I know their taste enough. But obviously people are just lazy and don't feel like doing all that, so they want hacks and like there's no hack to know if art is good or bad. I'm not saying anything notable, but it's like it's
And I
No,
and I also
you're not.
think
Maybe not,
yeah.
but like it's up to each of us to curate our own social media feeds,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Like that has gone on for me for years. Like, why do you just don't listen to every voice? So like when Murphy's Multiverse was running hot, which it is not at this point, like
Hmm.
AC would review a good chunk of our movies, Hunter would review a good chunk of stuff for us, and AC not just movies, but like just our projects that we were able to cover, right? And so I get that through their lens, right? And then you find out like when AC watches something, like where is he going to go at it? When Hunter goes into something, where he's going to go at it. And there's a I guess I don't know how old Hunter is, but there's a generational gap between AC and I and Hunter, right? Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hunter, if you're listening, I have no idea how old you are. I
He's
think
I
you're
think
in
a
like
year
your
and a
late 20s,
half.
but like
He's a year and a half younger than me, I think. So I think he's like 27, 28.
okay, so he's not on AC's washed agenda list just yet,
No.
right? Like, but
No,
I
he's
am,
not.
right?
Hmm.
So you have to know when you read
Mhm.
a review from someone who's 20 years younger than you that every experience that they had in their life is very different than the ones that you had, and it shapes the way that they write their reviews. Like that is how art has always worked. That is how it will always work, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so when I was in college, I was an English major. I took a critical theory class, and we talked about like authorial intent, like how does the audience receive stuff, like all that stuff matters, man. but it doesn't matter on Twitter, right? Like
No.
at the end of the
No,
day, right?
God no.
So, but
Yeah.
but like if you want to use Rotten Tomatoes, you want to use Metacritic, you want to use Twitter, it is your responsibility to
Mhm.
curate who you do and do not listen to, right? Like
Mhm.
I mean, and I know there's dudes who are just if it's a superhero movie, like I am fortunate enough that I don't have to worry about it because I get to be one of the people to see them up front. But I
Yeah.
also know there's dudes that I'm just never gonna listen to. But then
Mhm.
if I'm gonna go see some other stuff, there's also some dudes I'm not going to listen to. But like I came to
Yeah.
know like for sure when the site was running hot, like I would read Charles' reviews and I would read AC's reviews, and if they felt good about what was going on, I was pretty confident that I was also going to like it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, and that's what you to your point. Like you need to know who you're reading stuff from, and if you're a critic with an agenda, I don't want to read your shit. Like you're just not
Yeah.
going to matter to me, and
The
that's me. Like
agenda
you can matter to a
portion.
lot of
Yeah.
people, but you're not going to matter to me.
Yeah, the agenda portion of it is the thing that I'm not going to use the word disgusts me, but I just think it's so beneath people. You can be so much better. You always can. Like that's the thing that I always say about people generally speaking. You can always be better, but people so many times just choose to not be. And it's one of the things that I just can't understand when there's so many different forms of art out there that could mean something to someone. You could really be sending a kid to or somebody who's a teenager to something that they could really really enjoy and something that could affect their life, inspire them, change their life in some type of way. But in a lot of ways people just the agenda into I have to get it to this place where this movie is either this really bad or even in sometimes a movie that's really bad you're going to say it's really good because hey they send you to the premiere.
I think the thing that's frustrating to
Yeah.
me too is that people, because I'm someone who like I'm not like personally I don't. I'm like you, Charles, where I really don't. I wouldn't have it in me to write like an excoriating review unless it was something that was like really important and like in a consensus way. But like
Yeah.
the thing that's really frustrating is when people online can't tell the difference between like a serious critic who might be older and might not like a superhero movie and someone who
Mhm.
has like an agenda and has like a YouTube page who just
Yeah.
wants to get clicks. Like
Yeah.
for example, like if the reviewer at like the New York Times doesn't like a superhero movie, that even if they they're annoying about it, that's just very different in my opinion than like an influencer who gets to is mad that this company like I just the discernment that people have of who they like. I'm always just so flabbergasted at the people that people listen to. Obviously, we're nobodies, but it's like
Yeah.
Right.
sometimes when I see like people on YouTube who have like the dumbest thumbnails where it's just like this movie's bad and like the thumbnail is just a collage of 3 female characters, I'm like, you really don't know what time it is here? You're really not smart enough to pick up that that's
Yo,
what they're doing?
it's the Ironheart reviews was another one where I was just like,
Oof.
guys, and the fact that people ran with it, like they just ran with it too. On top of that, everybody was just like, all right, I'm out
Yeah.
before the thing even came out. And also, I've said it in the past, Marvel's partly to blame for that
Yeah.
in the way
Yep.
that they've marketed their shows. I mean, I know they believe a lot in Wonder Man, and apparently, like the Wonder Bomb has talked a lot of great things about Wonder Man. Man, when that thing comes out, I need to see that same energy. To be honest with you, I really do.
I mean, the thing that was really disappointing about the Marvels flopping is that like obviously there was a huge bad faith campaign from incels and whatnot and racists and what have you.
Hmm.
But the thing that was really frustrating is that it seemed to have worked on people who I know don't hold those beliefs. Like friends of mine, they
Yeah,
were psyoped into believing that it was like a lesser work that wasn't important. And I think that that's because, as you said, like people don't know the nitty gritty of how movies are marketed. They don't know the nitty gritty of how these
yeah,
things work, but they can sense it. I always say like, if a studio thinks a movie's not that good, people can smell it. Like, you can smell it on the way that they promote it. Like that was, I
great
mean,
point.
the thing with and with TV shows too. Like, you know why not that many people watched Echo? Not because it was good or bad. It's because like Marvel pretty clearly made it clear that they didn't care about it because people
Yeah,
know how much a big show should be advertised.
they hit it
People
basically.
know how much of a big deal this, that, or the other should be. And so like
Killed me.
exactly that like when when the response to the bad faith attacks towards the Marvels was not a full court press, I'm like, you're just really pieces of shit, aren't you? Like, it's just, I mean, I've said before that, like, the worst thing to happen in pop culture
Mhm.
was that they made significant rewrites to The Rise of Skywalker after people got mad at The Last Jedi. Well, no matter what your opinion on The Last Jedi is, I know there are a lot of varying opinions,
Yeah,
but the fact that those opinions
you're right
mattered
about this.
to the people at Lucasfilm, I'm like, that I think is how the ripple effects of that are catastrophic. Like, I just, even if I don't like a movie, I actually never want a movie studio to listen to people who call themselves like a fandom. I don't mean that literally, but it's like I don't want Marvel to be responsive to
Yeah.
any group of people that's just very loud, even if I'm part of that group of people, because it's like, it just the way like I said, the fact that people I know who are like who enjoyed Captain Marvel, enjoy those characters, but they just got the
It's
vibe
nuts.
that the Marvels was bad. And I'm like,
It's
what told you
nuts.
that? And I'm like, I really don't know. And like the answer, of course, is they just like through osmosis listened to shitty people saying it was bad. And like that's what's so frustrating is that even if they don't believe the underlying beliefs, if enough loud people say this is shitty and Marvel doesn't push back in any way, that will be the narrative.
So it's so
Yeah.
funny, Charles. So I remember you had texted me when Ironheart. You had seen it beforehand. You had seen
Yeah.
the episodes beforehand. So you texted me and asked me like, "Oh, but I hadn't seen it yet." And I know the way that you had talked about it was kind of like it had a bit of an FX vibe and stuff like that. The fact that everybody jumped on that with the review so awfully really underscored what to me was one of the more fascinating character arcs and endings to a show that I think we've seen. And nobody saw it, but it's really the whole Mephisto thing, that was really interesting. That was something that they actually took the time and said, what if we made our main character who's kind of not necessarily a villain per se, but they're kind of going on the edge. And this character is kind of teetering and going to a dark place. And they actually went there. And because of the way that people talked about that show before it even existed and came out. And again, like I said, Marvel's responsible for it in itself because that thing was in the can, like you said, for 3+ years. So
Hmm.
when you do stuff like that, it sends a message. And when it's a particular when it's a gender and when it's a person of color, it sends a very
Oh yeah.
specific message. So then
I,
guess what? Even if you don't necessarily feel that way, you think about it in the back of your mind.
I just opened up our text thread. I'm not going to bore everybody and read the whole thing. What I
Mhm.
think, what I think the highlights of what I meant for you to hear when I texted you. Got
Yeah.
the short end of Iger's stick, and you can feel it throughout. Feels less like Marvel Studios TV series and more like an FX original. Super exploration of everyday life, trauma, suppression of identity. Really effing good. Adherent to MCU TV formula while also its old thing. Um, Ended up just eating shit, honestly. It's super unfortunate. Structurally, the first three episodes, the second three episodes are thematically resonant, but the first three are heavy. And I can promise you that the people will bitch about being slow when it's really just deeper than anything they've ever done on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I feel. Like going into the AI stuff, like that, and
It's so good.
that's before we're talking about in 2022. So like now AI is the thing that everybody talks about now, but they were having
Nonstop.
the discussion back then. So the fact that you're not able to translate that into something immediately at that time, capitalizing on the stuff that happened in Wakanda Forever for the character, it undercuts the character. Same thing that happens with Echo and Hawkeye. We don't see her for a couple years after the fact. So she gets undercut too. The Marvels, same thing. We've said this a million times. Aman Vellani should be on everything. She should be in front,
Huge.
face center of everything. And we've only seen her twice in MCU stuff. It's ridiculous. It
If
doesn't make any sense
if I
whatsoever.
can borrow wrestling parlance, AC, it's just astounding how it's not even that they're bad at putting people over because they
Hmm.
were good at it, and so clearly they either don't think they need to, or more insidiously that they're not interested in putting these people over. And
Yeah.
so what? There's no good answer, but it's just like it's actually not that difficult to put people over if if they have megawatt charisma. Like it's not hard to put Amon Vellani over, but like you drop the ball.
Not even close. Just let her go. right?
Yeah,
Like you just let her go and she will draw. Like she is equal to Robert Downey Jr.'s casting as Iron Man in terms of how much she relates to the character. And then you clearly are dealing with an individual who knows any and everything she's supposed to know about pretty much all of Marvel Comics,
she
despite being,
wants
I don't know
to
how old she is,
be
20 years
there.
old. It's incredible. Like,
That's the thing. She wants to be there. That
yeah.
that's that to me. That's something that you should use. That's something that you should not dim,
Yeah.
in any type of way, shape, or form. So
Yeah.
that's where my frustration comes from. And then, like, I mean, even thinking about it further with the Marvels, you're doing this multiverse saga. The ending of the Marvels in that post-credit scene was that one thing that actually made sense to the entire plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's
one good
the
post
funny
credit
thing
scene they've
about it.
ever made. It was incredible.
I
Oh
just
my
it's
god.
frustrating because it's like, and the thing too we talk about is I think we were excited about, I remember when Thunderbolts was coming out, we were excited that they allowed Florence Pugh to upload a video on the set and like show some stuff off,
Yeah.
because like I've been on this beat for a long time that like they way overcorrected for how much they care about spoilers. For one, the fact that so many exterior scenes are shot interiorly, it makes for bad filmmaking, for one. And two, like the lack of organic excitement. Like the thing I keep going back to is how we had a full summer ahead of time of excitement for Superman because people were taking photos of the set. And
Yep.
guess what? Did we
Yep.
learn anything about the movie from those photos? Not really, no, because we don't know the script. And so, like, if I'm Marvel, I'm like, screw it, screw whatever, like secrets of who's in Doomsday or whatever. Have Aman Vellani do like a weekly vlog talking to different people on the set about their characters. Like, I just don't, this insistence of doing it. I think that there was a time that like avoiding spoilers was the biggest in the world, but like I just really struggle to believe that there's anyone who would not see an upcoming movie because of like a minor spoiler that came out and like a behind the scenes
Mhm.
thing, as opposed to people who are not excited and it's not on the radar because they haven't been being fed. Like, we're in a 24-hour social media thing. You need to keep things in people's eyes. Like, people should be talking about Doomsday shit all of next year. It should be the only thing on anyone's mind. And
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they're just not letting themselves do that because they need to like edit the trailers to make sure that there's nothing given away. And I think it's like whatever. Like, I just think people are way too worried about that. And it's like I said, the way it worked with Superman, where it's like we saw his full fucking costume and no one lost it. Like, it was great. No, it was great.
Well, I will say, I feel like Marvel has probably taken a beat with that, with the way that they've marketed
I
Spider-Man.
agree. Yes, I agree. Spider-Man, I think that they definitely have the fact they're shooting all that in the open. We see the suit. It's like, yeah, man, people are excited. There's or it's organic marketing. They don't need to do
Yeah,
anything.
they don't need to do not a thing. So I,
Do,
if
do
I
you
if I'm
do you think
yeah,
that
go ahead.
Holland has directed that? Do you think that that's Tom Holland's
I
doing
one
to an
Yeah.
extent?
thousand
Yes.
1000%. I think he directed it. I mean, I've made the joke online, like that whole thing when they were trying to put in the Venom and whatever Andy Serkis's character is, Null, that whole thing. I'm sure I would have to think that he stepped in and said, no, we're not bastardizing this character at all. I'm sorry. I've had enough of this. Enough of this crap. I'm sure that's what happened
Yeah.
because it felt like they just said, "Hey, Venom, Spider-Man, let's actually put them together for no
Yeah.
reason." But and thank God, because it looks. Thank God somebody had some sense in Holland specifically to get, and then I'm sure Feige got on board with them and probably convinced them, like, "Hey, do you want to make a good movie or not?" And we are now at the stage where it definitely feels like that we're gonna get something good from that movie. So I definitely think Tom Holland had a lot to do with
Mhm.
what went on because he specifically has spoken to that, where he said, at some point you feel like you have a little agency, you've been around for a while, you kind of make the people the money.
Mhm.
So you use your power. And I feel like he used his power, and that's why I feel like that's where we are at this point. And I love that we're at this point for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think Feige's like very similar in age to me. Like, I know firsthand that like from the one time I met him in person, his favorite movies are Back to the Future. Is the Back to the Future trilogy, right? So
Mhm.
I know he's like, I don't know how old he is. Could Google it. Sure, he's real close in age to me. So like, I have my own kids who are one in the 20s, one in the late teens. And yeah, they're your kids and you grow with them, but then they go off on their own thing, right? And then if you want
Yeah.
to continue to connect with those kids, you have to meet them where they are. You can't expect them to come to you
Mm.
when you're 30 plus years older than them, or 25 plus years older than them. You have to go to where they are, to continue that relationship with them. And I feel like that's the same thing where look how old. So my middle kid, my youngest daughter, was born the same year Iron Man came out. So look how old the
Mm,
MCU is.
Hmm.
You
yeah.
can't expect her to respond to, well, when the MCU came out, you were not born, you were just born, right? Like you
Right.
can't expect that. You have to go to where she is now, and you have to go to where that, because that's going to be your money maker, that audience, right? Like that, whatever, 18 to 25, whatever, and 25 to 35, that's where you're going to draw. You have to find stuff that they like, which is where I kind of thought they were going. And like that's to me where Ironheart hits, right? Like
Hmm.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Ironheart because I watched it with my kids and I watched their enjoyment of it, you know. Um, so I think that's important and super relevant for them, and I think that's why they're smart. I don't mean to like completely hijack this conversation. I think that's why they're so smart to
No,
go
sure.
uh, with um with Thunderbolts. I don't know if, how do you say his name? Schreier. I don't know how
Schreier.
you say Jake
Sure.
Schreier. So like to go with him and to help him launch X-Men, but to also do it in like a youth focused way. That's probably super smart,
Hmm.
because the
Yeah.
kids who grew up with it are now 20-ish, right? They're ready for their own thing. This is important. This is them. This is those kids getting ready to move into their own lives, and now they get to watch the franchise that they grew up with mature alongside them at this, but also in a place where like, hey, we're moving into our own thing. I think that's a smart counter to the dumb decision that they made in the multiverse saga to do a bunch of shit that nobody could understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, if I may, Charles, so
Yeah,
bringing up the whole Spider-Man situation, and one thing that I did definitely want to ask you. So, a lot of people are into this Sadie Sink character. Who is she? Who she might be,
oh
or
shoot, yeah,
whatnot. And she apparently was cast in Secret Wars too. So obviously her role
yeah.
is much bigger than we would have initially assumed. So now I know you've presented some theories on the site as to who she could potentially be, but I mean, just like in your opinion, who would you actually like her to be?
So I've been told over and over again, and like reaffirmed every time. I'm like, "Are you sure that what's that dude's name that does? Are you sure the guy from oh shit, what's his name? He's on the HBO, the
I
Chairs show
know.
on HBO. I
Oh,
can't
Tim
even think
Robinson.
of his
You
name.
you sure
Yeah.
about
Are
that?
you sure?
Are you sure
Like
about that?
I go that route with it, right? So I've been
Yeah.
told like over and over and over again that she's a shapeshifter, right?
Mm,
Like, but I've never had the whole villain thing attached to it. So it's it. So I go back and forth on this whole thing. For me, the best choice and the most interesting choice, given that this is a Sony Marvel co-op, is that
yeah.
she's Mayday Parker. That you let her be Toby and Kirsten Dunst's daughter,
Hmm.
um, and then for they how can they not have a Spider Person at the center of their Spider-Man franchise when they try to restart it? Because they can't they can't think that if they try to launch their own thing with Miles separate from the MCU that it'll work.
It's
Miles is
not.
one of the most important characters that's been invented in the last 30 years. He needs to be able to play in the big sandbox, right? You
They
cannot
better not
just
even
isolate
think
him.
about it. Don't even think
So
about it. Yeah.
so you have to think that they're like, okay, but we do need to do our own thing with our Spider Person. So Mayday's Mayday's costume is fire. One of the best alternate Spidey costumes that's ever been designed. You play with nostalgia for old people like us who are like, hey, that's Toby's daughter, you know. But then the young kids also saw Toby in No Way Home, and they thought Toby was cool. He was Pastor Spidey, whatever, right? So I think that's the best move. But man, like this, we went with the Shaffer thing. We went all these different routes.
Mhm.
Um, is she a Skrull? God, I hope not. But
Oh
like
God.
that shapeshifter
Yeah,
thing
those more
keeps
Skrulls.
coming back.
The thing that I am most excited about is that I think, and I actually have yet to watch any of the most recent season, but I think by season 4 it was clear that she's the most talented of all the kids in Stranger Things. I
Oh yeah,
think.
Yes.
incredible.
And so like one, the headlines about them looking for Millie Bobby Brown. No, absolutely not.
No. Oh, Jesus Christ,
Millie
no.
Bobby Brown somehow watches less movies than you, and she just has a kid now. But
Even
no,
less than Gwyneth Paltrow.
yeah, exactly. I just, but no, Sadie Sink I think is super talented, and I think that like I just trust Tom Holland at this point because it's so clear that on multiple occasions he's like, if I walk away from this, you have no movie, and like that is the best place for. And
Yes.
I trust his instincts more than I trust almost anyone else's involved in this, and so like whatever they do, I think Mayday would be really exciting. I think that'd be a really fun way of like I think the idea of casting a Stranger Things kid as Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst's daughter, I think is like that is a 5-dimensional chess in a good way of
Yes.
uniting generations. Like that is actually like
Yeah.
kudos, like good job for coming up with that. But I hope it's not something that's like I want it to be because she's going to be in Secret Wars. I want whatever like her hook is to kind of be resolved in this movie, and then she can move forward. Like I don't need this to be a character. I think Marvel has set up too many characters that like have like 17 movie arcs until they finally become like the character that they are. It's like I want whatever her thing is, I want it to be resolved. And if she's Mayday Parker, I want her to have the suit and be ready to fight some people by the end of the movie. Like I don't need this to drag on forever.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. So, as far as just Spider-Man generally, Brand New Day is concerned, Charles, I'm curious to know your opinion on this. We obviously feel like a lot of positivity going into it. We feel like just the vibes are at very high, very high. There's a lot going on in this movie, just generally speaking, from the amount of characters, Hulk, Punisher. We don't know who Tremel Tillman is playing. We got a little Tombstone.
Mister.
Oh, wait, Mister, yeah, from Severance, yeah. I oh no, from I'm talking about Mission
From
Impossible.
Mission
I'm
Impossible.
mixing my characters up. Um,
Love Tillman.
yeah, he's great. Like I'm very curious to see who he's playing. Like this is one of those things where you wonder, just generally speaking. Now, I don't think this is gonna be a thing that happens, but there's so much going on. But I also feel like Destin Daniel Cretton's the right type of guy to pull this off. How are
Yep,
you
there you
feeling
go.
about this?
No, I'm that the last statement you said is where I am with it. He definitely caught. So I remember before all this happened, he was gonna direct Kang Dynasty.
Yes.
So whatever I've seen, I've obviously just seen Shang-Chi and like a couple episodes of some stuff on TV, but he had Feige's attention up front, and he was clearly pushing big ideas to the point where they're like, all right, you can handle one of the biggest movies we had, which has always led me to believe that Brand New Day would not necessarily replace Kang Dynasty, because obviously that's what Doomsday is going to do, but that Brand New Day would also be a big movie in the grand scheme of things. Especially when you're releasing 2 movies in a year, like you can't, and then like the next year you're just doing one. Like I've made this point multiple times on the site. Like they deployed you go to the Deadpool and Wolverine reference. They've deployed the Time Ripper on their own multiverse saga. They've accelerated its end greatly, right? Like they've cut so many projects, right? So they don't have time to fuck around here. Like each project that they have left has to mean something, and they very clearly have always trusted DDC to put something out that's going to matter. So when I think like in that sense, big picture, I feel like Punisher probably doesn't matter. Like he's there to be a fly, right, in the ointment. But I feel like something fairly major is going to happen with the Hulk. Something fairly major is going to happen with Peter, and obviously Sadie Sink's character, right? Like, but man, to see Scorpion come back after an absolute dog shit post credit scene 110 years ago, to have Tombstone in live action, which is just
this version of him,
Tombstone
I
is
promise you. If you've seen Black Lightning, this guy's
yes.
going to nail it. Oh my god, I can't wait.
So good, and Tombstone is such an important character to me. So like like, and I went back to like a previous conversation of like what's my favorite like
Mhm.
Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom for sure, but then it's just Spidey, and then it kind of like in that like Bendis and Brubaker era of Daredevil and Street Level and Spidey and Iron
Yeah.
Man or Iron Fist and man, like in Tombstone has always just been like, not always, but in the last 25 years or so, like he's such a cool character. And then you get your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man where the character is just outrageously good, right? Like he is that whoever,
Yeah.
I can't remember the actor who did that, but that character is so good. Um, so I feel like that movie is probably doing double duty. Um,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, it's a
setting
little
up like
set
a
up, yeah.
very big Spidey Hulk arc going into the conclusion of the multiverse saga, but also carving out a pretty big arc for the street level stuff. Because remember, like it was 22, it was maybe D23 or SDCC where Feige said like, hey, Daredevil and Spidey are going to lead the forefront of our street level characters, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that movie's got just a huge place there where it's gonna like set off two big paths. And I mean, my favorite theory is a
Talk to me.
Venomized Hulk, like 100% getting a Venomized Hulk out of that. So you have Matt Gargan coming in. We know Eddie's symbiote is there. We know Hulk's lab is in Mexico, and
Mhm.
there's a way there, right, to get Venom attached to Hulk. And like the big rumor's always been that there's going to be like a Savage Hulk, right? So, um, man, imagine a Venomized Hulk, and then like strangely enough, I'm out shopping for my little guy for Christmas, and I see
Yeah.
like Venomized Hulk stuff all over the store. So, you know, could be nothing, could be me, could be. I love it.
Okay, so this is a question that I have wanted to ask you because I've been curious about it since I caught details of this a few months ago, and I'm just curious to how much the validity of them are true. And you I'm not going to spoil it for people, but let's just say, does the Wonder Man show have kind of like an underlying, there's a lot more going on to this than what meets the eye?
Wonder Man.
Yeah, Wonder Man.
Um, I I can't say with any sort of certainty because when filming started
Mhm.
right before all the shutdowns, I had an on-set source.
Okay.
When it resumed, that source was not back at work.
Mm.
Right. So I am where everybody else. I'm going to enter this one as where everybody else goes into it, but
Interesting.
like,
Okay.
but like what you see, he's, and I think this has all come out just in recent weeks too. Like he's
Yeah,
clearly
definitely.
powered. He's hiding powers. They've cast a character, or they've cast an actor as his and a character as his brother.
Right.
Um, my huge concern. I had this conversation with somebody the other day because this is another one that's been in the hopper for a while. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
are they gonna put? Are they gonna do like a Moon Knight, She Hulk, Ironheart, and Wonder Man too? Are they gonna bring this? Like, you have a generationally talented actor. Are
Mhm.
you then just
Another
gonna
one.
sideline him again? Like,
Oh my god. It's just so.
I mean, like, you can't. You didn't bring this dude on
I
so that you
totally
can
agree
just be
with
like,
you.
no, we're done.
The amount
No,
of
they can't.
actors who
They
I just
can't.
adore that they've fucked. It's like it's really, as someone who loves movies and loves actors and loves following their careers, and someone who loves the MCU, it's really hard to justify them sometimes. It's like they really took that much of Oscar Isaac's time on Earth to make movies, to make one season of a TV show, and the characters never come back. They really did. They did that. They really did that.
I can't believe it, man. Like Mahershala, poor Mahershala is on the Jurassic Park press tour, just begging somebody, please, can we shoot the Blade movie? God damn it! One time, shoot the Blade movie.
God. Anyway, it's and the thing is, 2025 showed us definitively that people are not interested in watching movies about black people fighting vampires. So like, it's
Yeah, they hate it. The people hate
The people hate it.
all
People
everything
are not
about it.
interested. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
ended up using all of the clothes from the Blade set
Mhm.
on Sinners. I just cannot,
And
man.
the thing is, and it's like the supporting cast is not going to work. Like, you know, you look at the reactions online the past couple weeks. People are not interested in watching Mia Goth interact with monsters. Like, it's just these things are not popular.
They
These
hate
things
her.
don't
They
work.
hate. They
They hate
hate
it.
Mia.
No, exactly. It's like
Oh,
it's just
man.
it. I think is I'm a broken record. Charles, every episode we do ends up me devolving just into being apoplectic about the shit that they're not doing. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like why did you do all of this shit if you're going to follow up on it? Like for like for like too few seconds, it's like, oh my god, the MCU's promise is gonna be fulfilled. They're gonna have all these characters interacting, they're gonna introduce all this cool shit. It's gonna be awesome. And then they're like, no, never mind.
Yeah, pulls up to the Fantastic Four movie premiere in character. He's
In
doing
character. I get
the
texts every
character.
week from Trevor Slattery.
Yeah,
Guys,
yes.
Ben Kingsley texts me weekly because I texted that phone number on the promos.
Oh
You
man.
get audio clips of Ben Kingsley, man. I mean, like, how does it get better? I don't
How do you?
know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. You mentioned earlier, like the Star Wars thing, right? It
Yeah.
is. Why did you go into something like this? Like they had to know they got so lucky to freeform everything through the Infinity Saga. They're like, and instead of learning from the lesson, like, yeah, fuck it, let's roll the dice again, right? Like, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's just like a little bit more plan, but like I like go all the way back to the beginning. Like
Yeah.
that's the next guy's problem. That was
Yeah.
such a concerning thing for me to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
early,
think
so
that
early on.
And I think the thing that the reason why it didn't matter as much in the Infinity Saga is that like I think they actually have like the exact wrong amount of pre-planning. Where like they in the Infinity Saga they knew they hot hand also they did check-ins. You think about like it did not go from Iron Man 2008 to Infinity War in 2018. It went from Iron Man to the Avengers, and then the Avengers to Avengers Age of Ultron, and then really after that to Civil War. And so really before like the big Infinity Saga battle happened, it was really only 3 years since we saw all the major players. Here they're like, let's just have all the major players scattered. They're never going to have any real interactions beforehand, and it's like
That's the other part.
the big. I think the biggest sin. I like the thing that actually would have solved all of these issues, and also these issues all will be solved if Doomsday is good. So this is a moot point. But like, if in mid 2022 or 2023 they had a big team up movie with all the new characters they introduced, like the fact that they didn't do that, and I understand why they didn't do that because they were so excited about introducing all this new stuff. But it's like all these worries about these characters. It's like if you just in 2023 had Moon Knight in Shang-Chi and the new Black Panther characters and She-Hulk, if you had them interact in a movie, no one's worried about Doomsday. Like Infinity War only had to be the next big team up movie after 3 years, not after 7 years, and I think there's a huge difference.
No, you're that's a great point, and man, like I never, and this goes back to something you said way early on too, Jake. Like I never felt oversaturated with what was going on.
No.
Right, because when I was a kid, I bought weekly comics, and then I had obviously a span where I didn't, and now I buy weekly comics. I might not necessarily pick them up weekly, but like I'm used to that flow of how a comic book universe works, right? So hey, there's a character here, it pops into the story here's an event, everybody's together, right? Like that's fine with me. But the management of like they were for sure like, hey, we can introduce all these characters, and they're like, holy shit, we can't manage all these characters. That's just poor planning. Like, and also why I begged for a job at Marvel for 5 years, right? Like it's just like Charles and I made this point in the podcast many times. There more than once I have been told in confidence that they are asked not to read comics. They are told not to read comics. And there are multiple people who make decisions there who have not read comics. And that might be fine from a movie making standpoint, but it is not fine when you're trying to manage the flow of an interconnected universe.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I always go back to is it's like people sometimes get annoyed when I bring up the business side of it, but like if people want to understand the explanation, like they didn't make these decisions purely out of creative stuff. Like the big mistake is that like you can do the thing where it's like comics where there's something coming out new every week, and I think that that's actually a very good idea. but then these things also can't cost so much that they all need to be an event. Like that was the big issue. It's just like the fact that the shows cost enough to the point where they need to have like be the biggest thing on Disney Plus every month. That's actually unsustainable. If they made them at a level where like, oh, the devoted fans will watch and they'll enjoy them, and then but most people will just see the movies. But like the fact that they try to have their cake and eat it too, where it's like we're going to be ever present and everyone is going to watch everything. It's like that actually isn't sustainable. Like the shows, the fact that the shows cost as much as the movies, it's like I could have told you that that's a bad idea.
The Secret Invasion thing is the highlighting neon sign where everything was just like.
I get some of these shows you can't, but like you can't convince me that they can't do some of these shows for like the price of a regular TV show. Like obviously like She-Hulk or whatever has CG, but like the fact that they can't like you get like real TV veterans in there, cut some like make a six episode season for like $80 million instead of $200 million. Then the problem is their whole workflow is a lot different. But the fact
that's
they can't do that,
model now.
Exactly.
That's the way that they
and that's why they're doing 2 seasons and they're going to do a 3rd season because it's like, oh right, if you manage television like a television show, it's cheaper and it knows that works. Like there's just no fucking reason why any television season should be $300 million. Like you're always going to lose money.
It's so stupid. That Secret Invasion thing just boggles my mind how they not only botched it, but they spent so much money on something awful. It was just so bad.
Like, there's no way. There's actually just no way to get a return on investment if you spend that much money. There isn't. And so, no shit, they want to cut all these shows because it's like, what? The spreadsheet's not working out. We spent $200 million on 7 different shows, and that didn't cause our subscriptions to go up 7 times because the people who watch all of them are all the same people, so they're only subscribing once.
It's unbelievable.
Well, and like I deal with people that, and like I was retired from my first job and I have a second job and I deal with people every day, and multiple times a week I hear people say like, well, I'll do Netflix for a month, I'll do Disney Plus for a month, I'll do HBO, right? Like that's genius to an old person who has kids of all age levels who is just bailing out of the fucking leaky rowboat to try to keep us afloat to get everybody happy with what they get to watch, right? But if you're like 25 and you're on your own, dude, you don't got to pay for shit until you want to pay for it. Pay the $17 a month and just bang out everything in that month.
Yeah.
If I did that, I'd have 3 different kids and possibly my wife also trying to kill me at the same time, right? Like it's just not that's not where I can go. But like so this just goes back to like the leadership, the purpose behind it, like who is making these decisions? What are they doing? Like, is it supposed to be? If you're making stuff for almost 50-year-old me, you're doing great. If you're doing stuff for what do you think the biggest audience is? 18 to 35?
Yeah.
You're not doing it. They don't care, right? Like my oldest 2 kids who grew up going to movies with me once a week, watching stuff with me on once a week. They never watch a TV. They watch it on their phones. If they want to watch it at all. They'd rather watch TikTok or Instagram Reels, right? Like, and like, whatever. Bob Iger may or may not have a TikTok. I don't know. But like, you have this giant disconnect between what the prime audience is and how they want to consume content and what you're pushing out as content. And I mean, my oldest just recently went like, hey dad, can you tell me how to watch all the Batman movies in order? I'm like, you're nuts, girl. Like there ain't no order to that shit. Like there's like 7 different rounds of Batman movies. Like I can't tell you how to watch that in order. Right? Like, and we watched them all when she was a kid. So, but that's how their brains work and that's how they operate. That's where they come from. And that's why I said earlier, like if you want to connect to this generation, you have to move to where they are to some extent. Like to expect kids with all the stuff that they have at their fingertips to come to you is just nonsense.
And you need to eventize it because like it's not like kids don't watch any television at all. Like I guarantee you when Euphoria comes back, the 18 to 35-year-olds will watch it. Yeah, I mean, like people are willing. It's not like they're like so illiterate that they can't use anything but their phones. But like you have to make it matter to them and make it that like the big thing. The reason why Marvel movies are successful in the theaters, and this is why it's so nuts that they didn't do this for television, is like the reason why everyone sees them opening weekend is because you want to be in the conversation. And the fact that like other than WandaVision, when we were all cooped up for the pandemic, none of the other shows were ever conversation TV shows. And that I think became a big issue. And I think that but I go back to it, like, that's actually only an issue if you're spending $200 million on them. If you only need them to be like moderately successful, but I'm serious, like, if you need them to just be like a regular performing
Yeah.
show on Disney Plus, this is not an issue. But like, if you're making it that you need to, if you're setting yourself up where you need to release 4 shows that are all conversation piece shows a year, I actually at that point I actually just don't care how like who's in charge. Like that's why they should have just had someone. They should have hired like a TV veteran to like be like
Yeah.
the guy who's gonna be in charge of the daily stuff. Kevin Feige can still do the big picture stuff. He can greenlight what's going to happen. But like clearly, you can tell with the Secret Invasion stuff that like he just does it, that the lack of experience with how to deal with television production, like that's a production issue more than a creative issue that show didn't work. Like they just didn't know how to produce stuff efficiently and how to produce it with low costs. And it's like, yeah, and that bleeds into the creative stuff. So it's that is just like a classic example of like I think people read too much into like the creative decisions that were ultimately made, but it's like no. They were dead in the water before they made any creative decisions.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
with that show for sure. Like that was, well, I mean, it's a bigger issue. Like it's a wide issue, right? Like, and you assume that they think they've solved it. I mean, I've said this multiple times. Like, what it looks like going forward is Marvel Television is just Netflix again, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's what it is, and those are like AC said, like that's low budget, or it's certainly way fewer VFX and all that stuff. Um, and that's where they're putting their eggs right now in that basket. So I'm, fortunately for me, like they have at least led with their the two characters that they've produced that are my favorite with Daredevil and Jessica Jones. Like you put Kristen Ritter in a thing, I'm at least going to give it a shot. Like I think she's very good, right? It's the same I felt about Tatiana Maslany. Like I felt like you put her in something, I'm going to give it a shot. But like I just don't want to go down. I don't personally want to ride that whole dark, bloody, violent, I get a boner when people bleed road. Like I hate that shit. Like that's just not what superheroes are to me.
I'm here, Howard Bryant.
It just
He's
drives
exactly
me
like
nuts, man. But if that's where they're gonna go,
I mean, I don't know if they're
I
going to
can go, like,
go. I hope that they branch out into other things, and I think they probably will. But I think that like if they learn the production lessons from the Netflix shows, I think that is smart, especially because like with television, I think that it really does help. I think it really was positive for Daredevil Born Again season 1 that we knew that season 2 is in production, because I think a thing that I can
yes.
definitely say with the shows that are like really popular still, and just like a lot of the discussion about Stranger Things now, like I think that the youths are now kind of like, wait, why does TV take 5 years to come out now? Like, what? I think that there's an immediacy that people want. I mean, even though it ended up fizzling out, but there's a reason why The Bear was so popular for 3 straight seasons, because it was like the first major TV show to come out 3 consecutive years, like in the last 10 years. Like, I mean, it was like and I think that is a very valuable thing. And I think that when you're connecting to a TV show like Daredevil, knowing like that this is going to be resolved and we see this character again here, I think that that's really, really helpful. And I actually do want to ask a question about these. I don't know if you guys seen these reports. AC, I didn't run this by you. You mentioned Tatiana Maslany. You guys see the rumors that she doesn't want to come back because of Disney. Have you seen that, AC?
Yeah.
I've seen that for a while.
Yeah. I think that is I love her. I think that that's a decision that she is a commendable decision. As someone who really loves She-Hulk, that makes me sad. But also, it's like I can't say with a straight face that she's I'm like, yeah, Disney's a shitty corporation. What am I gonna say?
I mean, it is what it is as far as that's concerned. But Charles, what do you think about that? Like generally speaking, because I know like a lot of the talk was that like She-Hulk was going to be in Doomsday and be a part of this whole thing. So I wonder if that's hit a snag.
I think early on in Kang Dynasty, she was for sure in the crew, right?
Okay.
As she should have been. Like it was. I think the whole deal with Kang Dynasty was going to be old school, new school Avengers, right? I don't know why that. I don't know why that necessarily had to change to go to Doomsday, other than they brought in a whole different creative team, right? But Waldron's still there. Waldron still had some piece of the writing for both Doomsday and Secret Wars. and just like not in any sort of like, hey, I know this to be true thing, but like She-Hulk is certainly a character up Waldron's alley, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you watch Rick and Morty and you see like his sensibilities, like that's a character he'd like. And I mean that's another one. Like that series was like before it came out, it was cooked. It's not that
Yeah.
bad of a series. Like
I
it's
mean,
actually
I
pretty,
am the
it's
No,
pretty
but
the
I
funny.
biggest
thoroughly
I'm the
enjoyed
biggest
it.
She-Hulk defender on planet Earth, and so yes, I agree.
That Daredevil episode was incredible.
It's I think it's the first time that the MCU successfully had
People
sexual
would
chemistry on screen.
I mean, Jesus, like, yo, this is what I'm
I mean, that
talking
was really a
about.
show like designed for my brain, so like I really appreciated it a lot.
No, I think it's like you put yourself in that same. I mean, you're in a world where everything's very polarized, but you put yourself in Matt Murdock's scenario there, and you get to a night to smash She-Hulk. Yeah, maybe you stick around. I don't know.
I
See
mean,
what happens.
no, but like,
Yeah.
and for me, like the joke I made is that like She-Hulk was like, She-Hulk for me, the way that it deconstructed the stuff was, I'm like, oh, this is how people who really love Deadpool feel about Deadpool. It's like, oh, this is, yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, you were saying about Michael Waldron.
But no, but so like before I go back to Waldron, like how do you get mainstream audiences to appreciate deconstruction of stuff when mainstream audiences are not ready to appreciate anything at all? Because Thor Ragnarok to me is like Taika went fucking off the rails with Love and Thunder, but my
Yeah.
favorite thing about Ragnarok is that there is literally a scene where he deconstructs what the construct of Asgard is and what
Mhm.
Odin is, right? Like they bring the whole rails down. This isn't who you are.
Yeah.
This isn't who you think you are. But like, oh, this movie sucks. Well, that's actually a fucking great movie on many levels, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And She-Hulk's the same, right? You get that, but like you go back to our beginning conversation, the lack of nuance, and like it's rough to go. So anyway, back to Tatiana. Man, I don't know. Like the world is she is Canadian, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she can't say like, hey, I think American politics suck. Like I think she should be able to say that, or I think she should be able to say whatever she wants to say. I think everyone
One would
should be
think.
able to say what they want to say. I think that's pretty fundamental. But like to to whatever extent they want to carve out a role for her, I don't just, and this isn't like, hey, I heard this, whatever. This is just opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I would not want it to continue to be attached to Mark Ruffalo's role, right?
Mhm.
Like if they're going to carve out a role for her,
Yeah,
it
give her her
should
own
be
thing, her
her
own vehicle.
role,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't want any minimization of who the character is. Like I don't know. Like I recently read. I have had a hard time keeping up with comics, but I recently went through like Hickman's Imperial because it is such a cool part of the universe to me. It's he's like trying to reset the cosmic corner of the universe to back to where like Annihilation Conquest
Yes.
era kind of importance, which is amazing for me. And they decided to throw She-Hulk in that, but her
Wow.
only role in that is to just act in the place of Bruce Banner. And I'm like, I don't want to read this book. Like this book has lost my interest because I've read other She-Hulk books where I'm like, this is really good, but I just don't want her to be a Bruce Banner proxy. Like, and so I guess like moving forward, if they have a spot for her, Tatiana is an incredibly talented actress. I would love to see what she has to say, but like let it be her own thing. And if they don't have that for her, or she's just gonna be like a fake Deadpool, no.
Yeah. Because I think that the thing that was so interesting about She-Hulk to me is that it really, like, Tatiana is an interesting actor to bring into the MCU because she has such a, like, she is not someone you naturally would think would be in a big franchise thing. And I think that she's even said that. And that, I think that energy was, like, you could feel that, like, she's not playing a character like a big franchise character. And I think that that would be a welcome energy in a big movie. And you do wonder, like, they're probably not going to let her do that. And so, like, I don't know specifically what her, issues are with Disney. I mean, I could guess. But I think that, like,
Yeah.
for her, she also is a type of actor and type of person, based on the vibes I get off of her, that, like, I respect this about her, that, like, don't think it's not like they're just gonna like raise her salary and she'll be like, okay, I'll go. Like she seems pretty content just being in indie movies and living a modest life. So like,
Yeah, I think the same.
and
Yeah,
so like whatever, I'm disappointed that she's not gonna be in it. If she's not gonna be in it, and that we won't see the character again. But it's also like honestly, at a certain point, I think if you're one of these actors who's in a show that gets like ravaged by the worst people online and you get treated like shit and Marvel doesn't back you up, at a certain point, I'm actually a little bit surprised it took this long for an actor just to be like, no, I'm not going to do that again. Like, no, I'm not. That's ridiculous.
yeah,
Like, because like I get her life on social media. Not that I think she's like addicted to it or whatever. But, like, must be miserable. Like, and so and she's like, even if her only gripe was like, no, you didn't protect our cast when people were acting like Megan Thee Stallion dancing with me was an affront to God. Like, fuck you. Like, I think that
yeah,
actually be
that's
completely
terrible, man.
reasonable. But so I was just wondering if you had any insight on that. But I think that is a very interesting thing that we'll be seeing going forward as they have all these actors in the air.
Yeah.
Like, how do they navigate actors who might not want to come back or can't come back? Because I also heard rumors that Elizabeth Olsen doesn't want to come back. And so there's a lot of different. That is the thing I really wonder how they're going to navigate, especially in this moment where, like, I think Disney is. I think Bob Iger thinks that he can navigate this moment without like just being a amorphous blob, and I think that by 2029, I think anyone who thinks that they could do that is going to look like an idiot. And so like I really do wonder how this is all going. I try not to think about it, but it's like you really do wonder, whether.
Well, we see how we see. I mean, to your point, we've seen how entertainment has gone with this. I mean, it's a great. I know we don't necessarily compare things to sports all the time, but if you look at the programming on something like ESPN,
Mhm.
just look at how that's changed. Look at how the idea of the whole stick to sports thing has become just exactly that, and but adding their own specific flavor to it, and how you wonder, like the people who make these decisions at these studios, and how they're tied to not only the money but the power that
Yeah,
exists. And you find out in a lot of instances, it's like you wonder, why does this get cut? Why does this get held back? Is it just a money thing? Is it just a corporate thing? Or is it something that involves politics and things along those lines? And I always wonder where that stuff meets and ends, because you never really know for sure. Like there's always a part of it that ends up being the money part. But like when I've like opened specifically the Ironheart, the
Mhm.
Echo, and the Marvels, those are the thing, and the She-Hulk thing, all have the kind of same element where I'm like, hey man, I see great opportunities to introduce new characters and put them in new spots and really kind of give people a new look of things. And it feels like they're just listening to the bigots. Like that's like really they just said, I guess they said they don't want it, so we're not going to do that
So
because
so from
yeah,
just a talent standpoint, how do you go wrong if you make call it West Coast Avengers, call it whatever you want, okay?
yeah,
But let's say that that you go Tatiana, you go Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you get Wonder Man in there, and so
Praying for
whoever
that someone.
throw Moon Knight out there. He's been on the West Coast at some point in his life. How in the hell do you feel like you're heading toward a project that people aren't going to love, right? You are talking about a collection of the most talented actors that they have ever had,
Mm-hmm.
but they won't do it, right?
No.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't even they can't even get a second season of Hawkeye off the ground, which
yeah.
was universally loved, right? Like
Hmm.
they can't even get that going.
And
So
stars, one of the biggest stars in the world now, who's at like in the, her prime movie star years, and they can't.
hmm,
Yeah, it's a big part
she
of it
married a
too.
QB, man. Get her on the fucking screen.
And the thing too
She
that's so
married
frustrating.
QB1. Get her on the
The thing that's so
screen.
frustrating about this too is that like as we've already seen in the last 12 months, like
Yeah.
the old people say go woke, go broke. The exact opposite is true. Like anytime any
Ugh.
corporation tries to lean into the not woke stuff, they always get fucked because the thing is people who on the right wing don't go to movies. Like that's the thing. Like it's just like it's and so it's so frustrating where it's like the people who actually I think that there's it's why actually I don't even believe it's like cynical money stuff. I really think it's just that these people have biases and they don't
Yes, that
care
part.
because it's like Black Panther made
Yes.
so much money, Wakanda Forever made so much money. Like the group of people in this country who have the most spending power are honestly like college educated suburban liberal moms and dads. Like that is like the
Yes.
market
Yeah.
the market for like that it for disposable income is that group. And so anytime you see people make decisions that are not for that group, it's like, oh, they're doing that because they want to. Like there's no way in hell that like that these and so I think that these movies are gonna get like super influenced by that. Not really, only because, and this is both a joke and true, that like Donald Trump just doesn't watch movies. He just watches like cable, and so he's it's not like he's gonna be like that no talented Pedro Pascal. Like he's not gonna do that.
He doesn't even know who Pedro Pascal
No, he
is.
doesn't. I mean, to be frank, I really hope he doesn't because I very much do not want to hear what Donald Trump has to say about a Chilean immigrant who has a trans sister. I really don't need that to happen.
No, you
Um,
Yeah.
don't.
no,
You don't
but
need that heat.
no, but I think that so like I think there's just like it's less like the conscious decisions and more like we're talking about where it's like we're just not gonna
Yeah.
do that. And I don't know. I hope that Tatiana decides to do it if it's a good role. I hope that if
If
she
it
and I
works
hope
out
and
for
I
her,
hope if
yeah.
she doesn't do it, I hope that doesn't preclude her coming back because I think that I really enjoy her as an actress, and I think that her energy, like the thing about too is that she seemed to really like the character a lot, and that's so frustrating. Like
He
if
nailed it. Yeah.
if there's an
Yeah.
actor who is like kind of just doing it for the paycheck or whatever, like I take him or leave him, but like she seemed like really inspired by what the show did, and they had a really good creative her and I think the creator were really in sync about what the character was, and then the idea that like they're gonna blow that, and it's just there's just something really. I'm excited to see these people come back in Doomsday, but there is something just so disappointing being like, wait, almost
Yeah.
all of the really important characters that are going to be in Doomsday are going to be characters that already existed before Infinity War or existed before the MCU
Yeah.
began.
Yeah. That's where I got to like with when I do talk to Charles, he's like the fan service thing, and I get that. And I guess for my own sense of comfort, like I don't know when or why, I just feel like whatever path they had believed, and I guess this is not even true. I don't think they believed they had a path carved out. I feel like they
No,
felt like, hey, let's throw some pebbles out on this, and we'll see if we can create a path out of it, right? And so
Yeah.
those pebbles were Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac and Tatiana and She Hulk and et cetera, et cetera. Um, I've just come to terms with that. They're not going to be there, and that's
yeah,
fine. And and like it sucks, but for me, of all those characters who like huge Shang-Chi fan, have I you guys can't see shit. I'm not going to turn my computer on. To
No,
my
you
left,
good.
there's just an absolute ridiculous amount of stuff. And if I have two boxes of every comic book that he's ever appeared in, right?
Mhm.
Like I have that character was pertinent to me when I was a kid. I loved him, bought everything I could find, have continued to. Don't have everything. Not when I say like everything he's appeared in. I don't have them all, but I will hopefully complete the collection before I die.
Mhm.
And then Moon Knight. Moon Knight has been since I started rereading comics in my late 20s. Has been great for me. And like right now, Jed McKay or Jed Mackey, I don't know how to say or care how to say his name, but I like what he writes. Um, and so like I have a shitload of that over there as well. And so like I'll miss those characters like if they don't show up again. But I get why
Yeah.
when you've gone through what you've gone through that you're going to just revert back to like, hey, X-Men, Fantastic Four, hopefully like you said, Jake, earlier, like they've been shitty, but I feel like they're on track now. um and actually this is funny, like before I talked to AC about this, like I was having um a little bit of adult insomnia, and I woke up and I was like, what are they going to do going forward? Because if it was me, I would
Yeah.
build my foundation on X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Avengers. Do I have a corner? Am I building off a triangle? Do I build out of Avengers? Do I like what are my characters that build out of Avengers? And I was like, well, you can always tell Thor stories. You can always tell Doctor Strange stories. Because like Thor lives forever. Doctor Strange, you could tell in any number of like realms, right? Like, can you
1000%.
tell
Yeah.
Captain America stories forever? Can you tell Iron Man stories forever? I was kind of having that internal dialogue with that. But I feel like despite all the nonsense, they've somehow are back to a spot where they're going to probably be okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be fine. I think the thing that I've said a lot is that I think people are overestimating how difficult it's gonna be to get all these characters together. Because I think people, I think, retroactively think that they did a lot more legwork to set up the literal events of Infinity War than they did. Like, obviously, they led
Yeah.
breadcrumbs to it, but these characters were all scattered before Infinity War anyway. So I'm not so worried.
Yeah.
Like, I think that ultimately, like, the funny thing about these conversations is I get really worked up about them, but in my regular everyday life, I'm not thinking about most of the stuff. It's just like,
Yeah,
but
no, I mean,
If you a diehard, like I know for me specifically, I've always, especially now, like have wondered, like, okay, so like beyond this, when they do this reset, like what's
that's when we
gonna
become a DCU pod. Well,
DC.
we did that as a bit during Peacemaker, where we did a whole bit where we did a pod where we pretended like the MCU didn't exist, like we talked about it as if the DCU was the first franchise
yes,
ever.
yes,
It was a good, but
that
yeah,
was
we
What a
made a
fun.
fake
horrible
logo and
time
everything.
for WDB to go up for sale, though, right? Like,
Don't get me
Yeah,
started.
man,
they're
it's so
just
dumb.
getting cooking, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a banner a
they're gonna
banner
fire
year.
people and then they're gonna like make people
It's,
make propaganda films. Yeah,
it's so
You
the thing
it's
that's
saw,
so
like, I
funny.
know AC saw, like, or maybe you didn't, like
Let me see. What was it?
Snyder and Tig Montero making an action movie, according to Tig, about hot lesbians.
mhm.
Hot lesbian action. I was like, Snyderverse Reborn, let's go.
I mean, it's the thing about it is the thing that's so maddening about it is that like what they're gonna do to DC is like on balance not the worst thing that's going to happen from that, but it is the thing that's going to affect me on a day-to-day basis the most probably. I was like, it's objectively worse if they're going to turn CNN
Oh,
into
good
like
lord.
Russia Today, but like it's on a day-to-day basis I'm just thinking about what could have been with the Gunverse. Anyway,
Oh,
um,
for me, I'm on
Yeah,
record with this forever. My
sure.
first loves in comic books were Batman and Superman.
mhm,
Marvel came along later for me because when you're a little dude like I was, Superman was bright and colorful, Batman was
Mm.
dark and sometimes like not like the modern Batman, but like you get a little bit darker color scheme, but you get a little Robin here and there. But like Fantastic Four didn't make a lot of sense to me when I was 8, right?
mhm.
And so as an adult, I moved into enjoying Marvel more. But as a kid, man, like Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, dude. As a little guy, Flash was my number one, right? And then I grew up with Super Friends, right? And I
Yeah,
know James Gunn did too, and I feel like he probably drew some inspiration about what he wants to do with DCU from Super Friends.
definitely
And I
agree.
finally am looking at like to some extent, if I were going to carve out a DC universe, what I would do is similar to what James seems to be doing. And now they're like, oh, hey, we're going to just sell it, and who knows what's going to happen. And I'm like, no, we're finally getting to where I would be comfortable. But and again, like other people can be comfortable, and that's probably better for them. But I like where it was headed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Well, we'll have to see how all of this shakes out in the next couple of years. But before we go, I do
Yeah.
want to ask you. I do want to ask you, Charles. The Vision show. That the premise of that is interesting. The whole human form of Ultron and all that other stuff. And the human form of a lot of the AI characters. What do you think of how this show could potentially set up and what it might entail?
So I can do a two-parter here. Like what I've been told from people who I know what's up.
Sure.
Madripoor is a huge portion of the story.
Ooh.
And from what I understand, and just like before you tell me to kill myself and kill my whole family in my inbox, like I nobody has seen the show yet, and things certainly change. So
That's
I
true.
think at some point Vision finds himself either there or connected through the internet there. And
Mm.
there's a ton of time spent in very very similar to WandaVision, where a chunk of the show is spent in not real reality, right?
Mm.
Vision
Mhm.
spends time in this cyber reality with all these AIs, okay? And Ultron is doing a lot of heavy leaning, and obviously like that's his dad, right? To whatever extent that we want to take that.
Yeah.
At the same time, the kid
Tommy, right?
whose soul Tommy inhabits may also find his way to Madripoor, where it's obviously, like in real life, a very lawless place. I had an article on the site a while ago where some stuff that came out,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like came out relatively officially, coincided with that happening at a time where Falcon Winter Soldier may overlap with it to some extent. And people are like, well, we don't like, Billy's vision. We don't know at what point in time Billy's vision happened. Billy can see visions. It doesn't mean they're present, past, or future, right? I think I just
Yeah.
lost my headphone. Are you guys still with me?
Yeah. No, we're here. We're
Okay.
here.
I don't think that you can tell when at the end of Agatha All Along that Billy saw what he saw with the kid drowning. I don't know that even Billy could tell you when that was. So I feel like there's a huge connectivity, obviously, to WandaVision and Agatha All Along.
Yeah.
And there's certainly a strangeness to it because of Terry coming in and taking over for Jack Schaefer. But I think, well, I know that at one point that crew of kids was supposed to take on a very, very important role, and that was when it was going to be Kang Dynasty. Can't speak
Mm.
at this point. Cannot speak at all
Yeah.
to what they've done to transition to Doomsday, but like those young Avengers slash champions. So Billy, Tommy, Kamala, Kate, America, and
Riri.
no,
Oh,
um,
Riri's not in this. Okay.
Ant Man's daughter, Cassie.
Oh, Cassie. Okay.
We're going to have a very, very big chunk of time um, in Kang Dynasty.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. All right. So they've had to adjust some things. Oh man, like let me tell you, man. Marvel's, they've gone through a time, man. They have gone through a time in
Mhm.
these past few years. Let me tell you, and we have gone through a time. Talking with Charles. Charles, this has been great, man.
Yeah,
Really enjoyed it. Had
I'm
a
happy
very very
have
fun
been
time.
on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you could let the people know where to find you and your work.
Yeah, I still continue to hammer away at Murphy's Multiverse when I find the time. You can find me on Twitter at underscore Charles Murphy, and the site has its own thing over at Multiverse Murph. Yeah, we continue. I continue to do the thing. Like when I started in 2019, I always thought like um, my daughter, my middle daughter Arlen AC will remember, used to write for the site all the time. Used to do a lot of
Yes.
Star Wars stuff. Do the primers for every series that was coming out of Star Wars and Marvel stuff. I always thought like, hey, this is going to be her thing. Yeah, that she was a little girl then. She's heading to college next year. She has
That's insane.
earned herself a nearly full ride scholarship for sports.
Salute.
She has bailed on me as my little nerd daughter. Right, we don't even watch shit together anymore. Uh,
Wow.
so now I just have the only hope I have is to indoctrinate my little guy and little
Yeah.
Chuck Jr. here to figure stuff out. But yeah, I intend to keep the site up and going, and I appreciate you guys letting me get back on here and run my mouth for a little while.
Awesome. It was a great listen, man. You got a wealth of knowledge, man, and appreciate you for giving that to us. Very, very much so. Jake, where can we find you,
You can
sir?
follow me on Twitter at the J Christie, on Blue Sky at J Christie, and still I'm at over 510 consecutive days doing a TikTok for the Museum of Twitter at the J Christie. Just did a really fun one with friend of the show Cam Hawkins about an ASAP Yams tweet. Really excited. It's the show's
Nice.
still fun to do, and I have some exciting stuff coming up next year with some people I'm going to get on the show. I'm very excited.
Very excited for that. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Anthony Canton _3. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. Plug the Patreon at the top, the YouTube channel. We're getting back to the road to Doomsdays. One is coming very soon. We're gonna visit the Young Avengers portion of it, so we'll get into this a little bit further. and looking forward to doing that. So thank you everybody for listening, supporting, watching, and all that good stuff. So with that being said, for Charles and Jake, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.